What you get when you work with centers of influence is what I call surrogate trust. The client trusts the accountant completely. And therefore, when you, as the advisor, get referred to the client, automatically that trust comes to you. That's called surrogate trust. And when you get surrogate trust, you're able to do cases in a lot shorter time, and you're also able to do a lot bigger cases. And that's what we are aiming to do. So now, when we want referrals from centers of influence, we want to understand what are these centers of influence looking for. And there are a series of soft skills and hard skills that you need to incorporate in order to be able to work with centers of influence. Now, these might all sound very easy or simple, but when you try to practice them, you realize that each of these are important and need to be practiced regularly. First of all, integrity. Integrity has a lot of different definitions for people. For some people, it could mean honesty. For some people, it could mean saying the truth. In a business world, for me, integrity has meant to do what I say I will do, to deliver what I say I will deliver. I've often seen that people meet centers of influence and they overpromise. They say they can do this, they can attain that, and when it actually comes time to deliver those things, they cannot do it. That's a no-no. What you want to do is when you go into those meetings, you want to exactly craft what you're going to be able to deliver and let the center of influence know that. And when it comes time to deliver it absolutely spot on. The next thing is empathy. So we are all are interested in making a sales, getting more assets under management, etc. However, what the center of influence really looks for is, are you taking the time to sit with their client, to understand their needs, and to give a thoroughly thought out strategy or solution? That's the empathy that they are looking for. The third point is communication. Even with some centers of influence with whom you have a lot of good relationships, what you find is that uh, you get a client, you get introduced to a client, you go and speak to the client, you understand their needs thoroughly, you make a recommendation, and you complete the sale. And then at some point in the future, after that point, the center of influence comes to know that you completed what was needed to be completed. That should not be happening. What we do in our process is, as soon as we get a referral, first thing we send a thank you note to the center of influence. We ensure that the center of influence is copied on every single email with which we are communicating. Then, when we've gathered adequate facts, we will actually do a presentation of what our recommendations are to the center of influence before carrying it to the client. I've found that sometimes the centers of influence don't understand everything that we do. And therefore, they, at the end, if all of a sudden at the end they come to know what we've recommended, then they can get upset with our strategies or solutions. So at this stage, it would be very good to sit down with them and clarify with them what exactly we are trying to attain in our work with their client. Now, uh, what I've heard is that, well, what if he objects? Well, I have found that sitting down with the center of influence and going over the entire strategy step by step has resulted in almost most of the time them understanding and deferring to me as the expert. Next is responsiveness. Met with an accountant. He said he had introduced a client of his to a life insurance agent. The life insurance agent went in and made the sale. 2 months later, the client approached the life insurance agent for some details of the policy because they needed to give those details to an attorney who was preparing some documents based on the policy. It took the advisor almost 10 days to get back to the client. The client was upset. He told the accountant. The accountant, in turn, called the advisor. The advisor gave a series of excuses. But what the accountant heard was that I have too many other things to do. Your client is not my only client. And that's what he heard, and that's what he has carried. From that day onwards, he has not referred business to any life insurance agent or financial advisor. You want to not only make sure that your responsiveness there for that client, for that client at the time when you're making the sale, but even your post-sales process is good enough to take care of the service in the absolute top-notch way.